I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for asking.
Good, good, no worries. Are you in Texas at the moment?
I am, yes.
Has it started to get like really hot?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like consistently up in like the 90s already. So it's
Oh,
already uncomfortable.
gee, nasty. See, it's like all frosty here, so it's freezing.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard it a few times that we're coming at like the perfect time to come there.
Yes, yeah, yeah, definitely.
Oh,
Window.
I'm Jag from a Skylit Drive.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. You're finally headed back to Australia this November. What are you most looking forward to about playing here again?
I mean, everything from the shows, the cities, just the different vibe of everywhere. You just have such a different experience with every city, whether it's the show, the food, the people, the sightseeing, all the touristy stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many reasons to be excited to come back.
Yeah, oh, awesome. And do you have any memories in particular that stand out from the last time you were here?
I mean, it was over a decade ago. I mean, I remember just having so much fun at the shows. I mean, like doing all of the international runs is always like so grueling. So
Yeah.
I mean, like they're always like a tiring run. But in the end, just like, so rewarding and so well worth it for all of the experiences. I love meeting, you know, new people who, whose everyday lives are just so much different than mine. I'm of course I've only been to Australia once before where it was so long ago and I'm in such a different position in my life now where it's almost going to feel like going back for the first time again. So I
Yeah.
mean, just the overall experience, I'm just excited to take it all in as like a brand new experience. But as for like one specific memory, I can't say that I can pinpoint anything. I mean, of course, everybody does the koalas and they see the kangaroos and all
Yeah.
that. But just the overall experience was just like it was just so much fun. Like like there's a part of the grueling touring nature that I actually kind of like look back on fondly. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Oh no.
I think I might have lost you. I'm not sure
Oh,
if it's a connection.
yep. I think it's all right now.
You're playing normally now.
Okay. Yeah, so are you. Okay, sorry.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was something with my internet or what.
Probably mine. All right, cool. Is there any chance we'll see some sort of on-stage collaboration between you guys and Scary Kids during the tour?
I can't say that we've worked out anything like that, but anybody who maybe went to one of our shows last time we were there, seen live videos, I mean, like we're doing our best and we definitely have a plan to make sure that whether, old fans, new fans, like everybody's gonna hear something that they enjoy from the catalog of the band. So I mean, we're definitely gonna keep it energetic and fun and keep everybody on their toes.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And how about your relationship with Scary Kids, Scaring Kids? Do you guys go way back or?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen those guys since even longer than when I was in Australia last. So
Wow.
like that's gonna be cool to see some of those guys. I know it's not all familiar faces, but some of those guys have definitely been there ever since I last saw them. So that's gonna be cool to get to see everybody. Make some new friends and much different from last time. Last time we were over there, the band that took us over were natives from over there, so it'll be cool to kind of experience all of this like with another band who's in our shoes. We're all in a foreign place. And I'm not sure last time, and I'm not sure how I went over there. But again, it's been so long since I've been over there that it's gonna feel like the first time for me.
Yeah, yeah. And what's one song in your catalog that you think has been the most underrated?
Oh man, the most underrated. That's tough. I mean, I guess one that I always come back to that I thought was going to be more of a popular song was off of Identity on Fire. It's the song X Marks the Spot. I thought that one was probably going to be like up closer to the top. I mean, I wasn't surprised that Too Little Too Late and the Cali Buds were up there. But when we were initially writing, actually, because Too Little Too Late was one of the last songs that we wrote on the album. That one was actually like we were already like in the studio when we wrote that one. So like throughout the whole process of actually writing the album, X Marks the Spot personally was always kind of like at the top of that list.
Yeah.
And then Too Little Too Late came in and happened, and that one kind of like swiftly took that top spot of I was like, okay, I think this will be like, like the song. Whereas like Cali Buds was a little more of like, okay, people who are like familiar with Skylit are really gonna like Cali Buds. Whereas like I kind of felt that way about X Marks the Spot too.
Yeah.
Where that one I felt like kind of like sat between those two personally.
Yeah, yeah. And so does it blow your mind when like there's certain songs that you guys make and you don't really expect much of it and then they do, as you said, like they get really big?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've definitely seen it before. I mean, like when we did Just Stay on Rise, that was of course like a very, like a very personal song to me, and we had never really done like a ballad type thing before, so that was really fun to try. I've always been like a sucker for like the monster ballads and stuff. So that was like fun to just, try something completely out of our comfort level. And even kind of like looking through at like, like top streaming songs. I'm pretty sure Just Stay is like the number 2 song off that album.
Yeah.
I kind of figured that Rise would be like the like flagship song, but then Just Stay was like right behind it.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? And
Yeah.
is there any Australian bands or artists you've connected with or drawn inspiration from over the years?
I can't say specifically. I'm not sure if maybe any of the bands, if anybody's from Australia. I'm also kind of like a grump when it comes to music. I'm like, I'm in like the latter part of my years and everything, and I've always kind of like stuck to, like everybody kind of goes through those formative years of the music that like kind of like grew up with you.
Hmm.
And I kind of always use that music as like my basis of like, like what music I end up getting into. So it's kind of harder for me to get into newer bands.
Yeah.
Um, so I can't say specifically if any of them, are Australian based. I should probably do more homework on it. I just, get caught up with so many other things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's totally understandable. What were some of the bands that originally inspired you guys?
I mean, everybody, really took inspiration from different places. Me personally, I didn't take a lot of inspiration musically from a lot of bands. I always wanted to kind of organically let things happen versus having something sound familiar to something that somebody else was doing. So, I mean, if I took it, like inspiration, it was generally from like music that was like nowhere near like what we were doing, more of like the classic rock artists. Like, again, I was really into all the big monster ballads. So, I was a big Kiss fan as a kid, and they always just wrote, bop after bop.
Yeah.
And even, like all of the Guns N' Roses and Quiet Riot and, all these big anthem bands, I was like, Journey, I was, like a huge fan of. Um, but like, aesthetically and stuff, like I feel like I took more from movies, like I really like, like soundtracks from movies and just like the aesthetic and the vibes from movies. Always I always kind of gravitated towards like a little more, and even video games.
Yeah.
Like some of like the like textures and so on from like movies and video games. I kind of feel like I pulled more from than other music.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. I find with you guys and a lot of other bands in the sort of emo subgenre, it's like you can take a look at all these bands and think, oh, well, they must have been inspired by them and them. But no, a lot of them were inspired by movies and like things totally with nothing to do with the genre at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where like a lot of it, like I've even taken inspirations from like from like commercial jingles before, which I mean like they're clearly doing something right. You end up walking around and you're like, why am I singing that jingle from this commercial I saw like a month ago?
Yeah.
Um, and even if it's just like the smallest little inkling of inspiration that you take from it, and then you just kind of like march on with it with your own idea.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool. And speaking about music as well, what bands are you listening to is there any new bands that you're really into at the moment?
I mean, the one current band that I've been like mostly listening to that I've just been like, very impressed with is the band Dayseeker. just again using the word aesthetic and vibe of things. I just really like the like the angle that they're taking things from, and I'm big on singers. Like I kind of have to be. I'm always like like pushing myself, not just range wise, but like different things that I can do. And I can always admire and and give one's roses when I feel like they're due.
Yeah.
And that's a band that I feel like really just hits the nail on the head for all the things that they're going for, aesthetically, musically, vocally, lyrically. They are a current band who I think are doing awesome things.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And has much changed for you personally when you warmed up in the early days compared to now before going on stage, or is it kind of similar?
I mean, I've gone through so many different like phases where like of course back when it started, I was like, warm-ups, what's that? And
Yeah.
I'd sit there and I'd talk constantly after shows and then lose my voice and I'm like, why is this happening? And like I've gone to like a few different vocal coaches who have helped me out, given me different pointers. Like at one point I went and saw Melissa Cross. She does the whole Zen of Screaming.
Hmm.
And I've seen like a few different others, like no one consistently where I regimentally saw them like once a week. It was generally I saw them once and then I just, took something helpful away from like what they were showing me.
Yeah,
Like whether it was like breathing techniques, um, you know, just like thinking of the proper muscles and everything. It's the same with like exercising. It's not as simple as just moving the weight. It's the same with singing. Like you got to be, like kind of that muscle mind connection of using the right things at the right time. But I've definitely changed like how I prepare for shows. There's also so many different like tools now that you can use. Like back in the day, the only thing that you had to like breathe steam is these clunky personal steamers. You'd put water in it, and it
yeah.
was just a nightmare if you tried to use it in a vehicle because it literally has boiling water in it. So
Oh,
it was like kind of terrifying. Where now they have like vocal nebulizers. They've got like the Dr. Vox thing, which is I don't know like if you've seen those, but essentially it's warming up through like a straw in water so
yeah.
that you get kind of the back pressure to kind of like work your vocal cords. So yeah, there's so many different things that are fun to try. But I try to not warm up too much, just enough to where I'm like, okay, I feel good.
Yeah.
But when I'm out there, I try to be mindful of how much I'm talking, how I'm talking, if I'm, not over talking or, not putting myself in environments where I feel like I need to overspeak.
Yeah.
Because of course I'm out there, the top priority is that, hour or 40 minutes or 50 minutes that I'm on stage. Like that's why I'm there and that's why everybody's showing up is they want to see these songs performed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's good to hear that you do protect your voice and you really think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always probably overly mindful.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's good. And when you're not making music, what's something completely unexpected you love doing?
I'm big on like DIY projects. I'd say 10 years ago, I didn't have a handy bone in my body. And in the last 10 years or so, I've gotten way more handy and just, you know, like just things around the house and projects and stuff. I like, like woodworking type stuff and different projects. We see things or like one of our girls is like, oh, like that'd be cool to have a wall like that. It's like, I could find out how to do that.
Yeah.
And I've done it enough times where it's like, oh, I actually know how to do these things now.
Oh,
So yeah, that's probably me is, if I'm not working on music, I'm working on some kind of project or, building something for our house or, just, trying to improve, our home somehow.
yeah. That's awesome. What a handy like hobby to have.
Yeah, yeah.
That's wicked. And what's one piece of advice you'd give your younger self back when the band was just starting out? Oh,
I guess don't make rash decisions. Just because it's the first option doesn't mean it's the right option. And just because somebody's giving you an option doesn't mean that you have to take it.
mhm.
Just be smart. Seek advice more often than you think you should. And yeah, just be better about your decision making.
Yeah, yeah. Good advice.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you can remember that was the weirdest thing or the coolest thing that you've been given to by a fan?
Oh man, there was one time, I think it was the first year we were on Warp Tour. Someone made us these like individual dolls.
Oh
So,
wow.
so they made one for each of us, and it was like so intricate and so cool. I don't think I have it anymore. I think it ended up getting broken, unfortunately, in one of my moves,
Yeah.
along with many other things that get broken in moves. But it was so cool, like all the thought that they put into everything. Like at the time, I had, like my lip piercings and
Yeah.
everything, and someone had facial hair. There's a little more, or like almost like someone would like build, like an emoji for themselves now. And they're like, oh, well, like I wear these types of clothes or these types of accessories. So I'm going to include this into my emoji. Um, so yeah, like that was probably like the most like thoughtful gift that I recall seeing. And then like I've gotten other stuff, like really well done, like, like drawings or paintings that I actually still have. They're in storage, but I can think of certain ones that I still have to this day.
Oh, that's lovely. So you definitely don't throw any of them out.
No, 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 no. If I can keep it, I take it. The only times where
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to, and maybe somebody else has it, is like if I had to fly.
Yeah.
Like if at the end of a run, if it's like too big, and I'm like, well, I can't physically take it
Take
with me, so
that.
somebody else has to take it.
Yeah, yeah, no. And touring can get pretty wild. Is there a strange or funny moment that you recall that you'd like to share with us all?
There's one actually kind of recently. It was kind of funny. We were staying the night in El Paso, Texas.
Hmm.
And we were on our way to start one of the runs over the last couple of years, and I go in to check us into a hotel, and there's already like a couple in there waiting, and they seem really really annoyed, and the phone at the front desk is just ringing off the hook, and it's playing this eerie pop music that's very quiet, like in the lobby, and but it was just eerily quiet, and it just felt strange. And I was standing there just waiting for someone to come out. I look at them, and I was like, "Are you guys waiting to check in?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we've already been here for 30 minutes." And I was like, "You guys have just been standing here, like you guys." And they were like, "Well, the whole reason that the phone's ringing," they showed me their phone. They're like, "That's us trying to call, thinking that somebody will come out because they hear the phone ringing."
Yeah.
And so I just start kind of walking around the whole first level of the hotel, trying to find anybody that works there, because it is a little bit later, in like the evening to check in, and I just can't find anybody. And I kind of at that point I was like, well, I'm just gonna go behind the desk, because I was like, now I feel like something's wrong. Like I
Yeah.
was like, what if it's somebody elderly and like they're hurt and they can't get to us? Um, so I kind of go back into the back area, and I get back like past the first door, and it is pitch black in this place. And I can see down this long hallway, and there's almost no lights on. And I was like, I'm gonna get at least one of my guys
To
to
come.
have my back before I go down this hallway.
Yeah.
So I go and I get one of my guys, and I'm like, you stand guard at this entrance, and I'm gonna go down and check these doors. And it's while I'm going down that hall, the guy just comes out of nowhere, like around like some other corner, and I hear him talking to the couple, and
Oh.
then me and my guy pop out the door behind him, like where you thought he would have come from, and he gives us this really startled, confused look, and we're like, "Where have you been?" He's like, "Oh, I was helping an elderly guest who fell." And we're just like, "That was like an hour ago."
What the
And
hell?
this guy, he came across like he was up to something else. I'll leave it at that. But I was like, I don't think you were helping. Like you were helping someone, but not what you're saying.
Not
You
in
were
the
doing
way that,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's like I believe you were with someone else, but I don't think it was what you're saying.
Oh, dodgy.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So I'm glad nobody was hurt, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was a very weird situation.
Strange. And you always wonder, what were they doing exactly?
Yeah. I'm sure I don't want to
No,
know,
you
but
don't want to know. Yeah. And is new music on the way for you guys, or is this tour about celebrating the legacy of what a Skylit Drive has built?
I mean, it's really a little bit of everything. Like we built the set around, not just the old fans, not just the fans from, middle of the pack or the newer fans. Like there's a little bit for everybody. And that is really a big focus right now this year, is we are working on new music, and, just, trying to get as much, under our belts as possible, so that we can, really put a new face to the name.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And last question, who was your first gig that you ever went to?
My first was Kiss. Yeah, I was 11. It was their my reunion tour. So like they all got back together, they put their makeup back on, and yeah, I like made my own shirt and did the Gene Simmons makeup and everything. So it just that completely changed everything. So yeah. So yeah, the first show I went to was really like just life-changing for me.
That sounds it. That's amazing. How cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty great.
Oh, wicked. Oh, Michael, it's been so lovely speaking with you. We can't wait to see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Same to you.